Hello! Welcome to the Flute 360 podcast, where we incorporate a panoramic view of flute-related topics. I am your host, Heidi K. Begay, and this is episode 114, Military Flutists with Sergeant Angela McCuiston. The Flute 360 podcast and JK Media Productions are teaming up to help you with your student and professional needs. I, Heidi, offer consultation work to both music students and professionals alike. If you are a student who needs help studying for graduate pre- and post-music exams, editing a research paper, interested in flute lessons, or needs help with job applications, I am here for you. Also, I have been currently working with ministries, music publication companies, and other music professionals to help them with their online projects. Whether you need creative or social media help, I would be thrilled to work with you. My husband, Eric, has been an audio and video engineer for over 10 years and owns the JK Media Productions company. If you are someone who takes or gives music lessons via the web and need help with equipment and or setup, feel free to reach out to Eric. Lastly, he is well skilled with audio and video edits for your next creative project. Please contact us today at heidikbegay.com and jkproductions.media so we can get started working towards your professional goals. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Welcome, everyone, to another Flute 360 podcast episode. Today, my inspiring guest is Sergeant Angela McCuiston. Welcome, Angela.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, for sure. I'm so glad that you're able to carve out time from your busy schedule.
Absolutely. I love talking about me.
A lot of people do.
Fair enough.
Oh, that's so funny. So you're doing some remodeling in your office.
Yeah, so when I bought my house, there was an unfinished room, and they said it was just attic space, which isn't true. It's just a room they didn't finish. So when I moved in, there were nothing but like studs and subfloor. So I decided to make it into a studio. I teach lessons in there. I practice. It's my flute studio, but it's also my home gym. So I train clients in there. I train myself. I do my videos. The problem is, the guy who I hired to do my drywall did the world's worst drywall job you have ever seen in your life. One of my former clients, who's a master carpenter, said, I showed him pictures, and he said, I wouldn't call that finished in my spare hallway bedroom closet.
Oh, no.
I know that's not a room, but you know what I mean. So, I mean, it's really bad. Like, there was a crack on every seam. There were holes in the wall. There were bubbles it was just so bad. And like, my dad and I started it, and my goal was to learn I'm not a do-it-yourselfer, but I would like to be handy, but I'm not. So we tried, and we started hanging the drywall. We're like, I think we're going to screw this up. Well, we should have kept going because our screw up would have been better than his, quote, professional job.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I got that finished today. Now I just have left to, the walls are all great. The corners look like real corners. So now I just have to like paint, little stuff like that.
Uh-huh. Well, that kind of surprises me that you call yourself not handy. You seem like a very handy gal.
Oh, but I am not. I feel so like I am like Miss Fix-It. I know how to take care of my house. When I change the air filters in my house, when I put batteries in my smoke detectors, I'm like, look at me, like taking care of stuff. Nothing at all.
Oh, no.
Seriously. It's just, I learn by doing, but I'm not like a handy do-it-yourself. You know how some musicians are, we're great with our ears. We can hear things, we can harmonize, we can improv or any of that stuff. But visually, some of us we don't get it. We don't see it unless it's in front of us, and then we can visualize it. That's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I'm not crafty, handy. No. But I keep trying.
No, that's good. To always experiment and explore and see what the possibilities are.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm not good at it, but it's fun.
There you go. And as long as you don't blow up your house, I think all is well. Oh, shoot. Well, since you're not a handy woman, could you please share with us who you are and a little bit of your musical background?
Absolutely. So I am a flute player, a piccoloist, and I got my bachelor's degree in music from Tennessee Technological University up here in Cookeville, Tennessee. And I started my master's degree at Appalachian State in Boone, North Carolina, actually. I'm always amazed at who knows where Boone is. Everybody knows do you know where Boone is?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yay! Somebody doesn't know. I mean, they do a lot of, I think it's because they do a lot of research up there, right off the Blue Ridge Parkway, a lot of research on cyclists and VO2 max and health stuff and irony, I know. But anyway, I started there. It wasn't for me. And so I transferred to Florida State and got my master's at Florida State in music performance. Okay. Yeah, that's like, those are the big ones, I think, right? Mm-hmm. So I play I'm assistant principal and piccolo of Sinfonia Gulf Coast, which is an orchestra in Destin. I think this year will be my 12th year with them. Mm. And I just recently completed a 16-year tenure with the 129th Army Band in Nashville. And I just transferred they were National Guard. I just transferred to the reserves to the 313th Army Band in Huntsville, Alabama.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the right move.
Is it Destin, Florida? Or is it? It
is in Destin, yeah.
Okay. I love that city.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I used to live in Panama City. So right after I graduated, I lived in Panama City for a few years. So I played with I was principal of the Panama City Pops for a few years and while I was there. And then I got the Sinfonia job. And then when I moved back to Nashville, I thought, I don't want to give up this orchestra. It's so amazing. I mean, it's not a full-time orchestra. It's a professional orchestra, but it's not a full-time gig. Like we have maybe 6 concerts a year. But oh my gosh, do we play the best stuff? I mean, we have all these people that we come in the company from Broadway, or like Matthew Morrison, who was on Glee, was our last guy. We had all kinds of people. And then we always do like movie soundtracks and fun stuff for kids. We've played Looney Tunes. I mean, we play some hard stuff and some super fun stuff. I love it. It's always different.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I'm curious, you mentioned the U.S. Army Band. What inspired you to get into that field? So
I joined the Army my senior year of college for my bachelor's degree. And the funny thing was my freshman year roommate was actually interested in joining the Air Force Band. And she said, hey, why don't you come check it out with me? So they are in Knoxville, Tennessee, the Air Band of the Smokies. I think after there was a great big restructuring, I think there's only maybe 3 in the South now. So anyway, I digress. We went down there and I thought, oh no, this is not for me at all. But I'm glad I went with you and this is cool, but let's go back. So, I'm getting through my junior year, and there are a couple people that have enlisted in the 129th by my senior year. And they were in Nashville, it was only an hour away. And I was talking to one of them and she said, hey, why don't you just join us? I'm like, well, why? She goes, well, why not? So, well, let me check it out. So my audition, and this is not a normal audition experience. My audition was, they said, hey, do you want to play a gig with us? And I said, sure, cool. We have a concert at so-and-so. So I sat in and sight read the concert. That was my audition.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, it was great. And they're like, cool, you can play. You're in. Do you want to be in? I'm like, well, I don't know. So I talked to them about it,
Yeah.
But the reason I joined was I was graduating with my bachelor's in performance. And I thought, okay, cool. Now what?
Yeah.
Well, I know I want to get my master's, but I'm not sure I'm going to pay for that. And they said they'd pay for graduate school. At that time, they didn't have health insurance. I was still my parents' insurance, but I knew that was going to be going away. And there was the promise that TRICARE was coming for reservists. And thankfully, like a year later, it did. And it's been the best. The health insurance is insanely good. So good. So, and then they bought me an instrument of my choosing, which was massive because I couldn't afford my own instrument either. So that helped. And there's just all those things. And then, there was the promise of travel. And I thought, well, it's a part-time job playing my instrument.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else lined up after college. At least I'll have something, and it's not permanent. So if I don't like it, I can quit. But I also like being fit. I like being healthy. I like the challenge. And yeah, sounds like fun. So there we are.
Nice.
Yeah.
It sounds like a really good fit for who you are as a person and your lifestyle.
Oh, it's perfect fit. I don't think I could do active duty.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why not?
Well, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. Okay. And doing active duty, that is your one job. And for people who, they love a set schedule, they love, totally knowing what's going to happen day in, day out, what they're going to do, being told, all that stuff, that it's great. And there is, when I'm on active duty orders, it's a relief actually to have a break from my schedule being so crazy and wild and different every single day. It's like a vacation for me. But I would get bored. I've always got things and ideas in my head and I want to act on them. I wouldn't be able to do both.
Sure. No, that's totally fair. And I think that's good that you show this possibility to those who, maybe are in the same boat as you, who say, I'm more of a free spirit and I need to have some freedom in my life. And so active duty doesn't sound like it would fit my schedule really well or who I am as a person. Yeah.
It really does give me the best of both worlds because, it's still a part-time job. I still get the great benefits. I get the travel. I get the health insurance. My new unit is just like a great big family. I love seeing them and playing with them. And it's really great. And I get a whole lot of opportunities I wouldn't normally get. And that works really well with my lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So I still get to do all the things.
That's awesome. So I'm really stoked that your audition process was not traditional.
Not at all.
That's amazing. And what I take from that is it just shows the younger generation, you always need to go to that next event, performance, whatever, super prepared. Because you never know who's going to be there listening to you and possibly giving you an opportunity that's going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't know that was going to be my audition. I thought it was just, let me show them what I can do kind of thing.
Yeah.
Nope. That was it.
Yeah. Well, the same thing kind of happened to me this past semester when I was in Bulgaria. I did a master class, and in a master class, everyone knows you, the teacher, you're basically maybe, giving a few little excerpts and examples or demonstrating something, but you're not the star of the show. The student is.
Right.
But I just did, a little line here and there for, student A and student B. And at the end of like this 3-hour master class, the main professor said, "Oh, I really loved your playing. Come back next year so we can play a concerto together." And I was like, "Oh, that was easy, But if I would have known going in that I was going to be on the spot and that this was something she was possibly thinking of, I would have been a wreck,
Yeah, for sure.
You're more comfortable actually in your element, performing and having fun on stage.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah, the typical audition experience, I'm not sure if you've heard this before, but you have to, and actually a few years after I got in, they changed it. So it's gone through a couple different iterations, but there's a very much more structured audition process now. So, and it's not kind of like your audition for like an orchestra audition where, okay, prepare for flute players, play the exposition of the Mozart concerto in G, C or D if you're lucky, but it's usually G, and the Vivaldi piccolo C, that kind of stuff. It's always that, and then 3 excerpts of your choosing, that kind of stuff. This is not like that at all. You do have a solo. They would love for you to have like up to 10 minutes of music prepared, but then they give you some very specific things. They want to know, can you play like the General's March? Can you play the National Anthem? Can you play, you do have to know the Stars and Stripes Forever on piccolo, all those things. And then they give you a packet of what's called quickly prepared music. It's not like necessarily, so sight reading is what you would have in an orchestral audition, but this quickly prepared music, it's like they give it to you the day before or a couple days before. So you don't have a whole lot of time to work on it. And then they've got this rubric that they use to grade you from like 1 to 6 on everything. And that totals a total score. So when I went through, they call it an AMPA, Army Music Proficiency Assessment. And when I went through, it was on a 3 or a 4-point scale. I don't remember what it is. I think now it's a 36-point scale. So it's very different.
Okay. No, that's really cool just to see that there is like a matrix and a grading chart, so that way, I don't know, numbers are very tangible.
They are. And if you want to look those up online, you can find that really easily. There's very different things for different instruments, like what you have to have played and what you have to like for bugles, you have certain bugle calls. A flute, you have to play Stars and Stripes, that kind of thing. And you can find that online anywhere. It's really easy to find.
Okay. So after your informal audition, when did you start talking to a recruiter?
This is also not typical at all. So, I did all my talking with the commander. The commander called my parents, asked their questions. I talked to him. I talked to my friends who were joined. And then I just kind of made the decision I'm going to do this.
Okay.
And every band is supposed to have like a liaison or their own recruiter that they use. And we did not at that point. So I just walked into some random like Army recruiting station. Someone told me this is where the recruiters were for the Army National Guard, not Army active duty. I walked in and there was this guy sitting behind a desk and I knocked. He said, hello. I was like, I want to join the Army. He looked at me like, okay. And what happened? It turns out it wasn't his office. It wasn't his desk. He wasn't supposed to be there.
So, no.
I mean, he was supposed to be there, but it wasn't like the guy who was the recruiter or whatever. He stepped out to lunch and he was just like covering for him. I was like, yeah, well, I'm here now. Well, what do you mean you want to join? People don't just walk in. I'm like, well, I just did. I want to join the Army. Yeah. He goes, well, sit down. Let's talk about what you want to do. I was like, no, there's no talking. I'm joining the band. He goes, so who? He had no idea there even was a band.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, the band. And I told him where they were and what their name was. He goes, I think I have to look them up. I said, no, here you go. Here's the commander's phone number. And he looked at me with eyes like big as saucers. And he looks at me and goes, okay. So he calls the commander and the commander says, hello, this is, Captain so-and-so. And he said, so I've got Angela here in the office and she said she blah, 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 blah. And his words were, oh, Angela? Yeah, I have my eye on her. I've been waiting for her to call. She's in.
Oh my gosh.
And he went, you should have seen his face. Because like I said, it wasn't really his gig. So he was not prepared for this. So he puts down the phone. He said, who are you?
Oh, no.
It was hilarious. So it turns out like he wasn't a recruiter for very long, or it wasn't his office kind of thing. So it's not typically how that goes. It's usually like, hey, great, let's sign you up, instead of what?
Wow.
Oh, it was so funny. That was the initial thing. And then what happens is that you have to go to something called MEPs.
Okay.
Which is your Military Entrance Processing Station. Welcome to all the Army acronyms, because they have an acronym for literally everything.
Yeah. So I was going to say, it feels like there's an acronym for everything.
Everything.
Like AIT and, SGT.
GTT,
yeah.
OCS, AIT, IPFU, APFU. Yes, all of it. It's ridiculous. Wow. So we go to MEPs, and MEPs is where they do all your physical testing, because to be in the Army, you have to meet a certain physical standard. They measure your height, and then they measure your weight. And if you don't make weight, like they say you have too much body fat, they tape you to see what your body fat percentage is. And then, so they told me I was too fat. I needed to go home and lose 2 pounds because I was like 0.3% over. I was like,
wow.
Okay. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, I'd exercised, but I'd never had a structured plan. I just started running because I knew I was going to join, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I was like, okay, literally the recruiter on the way back to Cookville stops at a gas station and said, hey, you want some M&Ms? I was like, dude, what part of I was too fat to join the Army did you not hear?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So the quick answer to this is like, I went back and they said, fine, you've lost your 2 pounds or whatever it was. You're good to go. So then they check your eyes, they check your ears, they make you waddle around in your underwear like a duck. I'm not lying about that. It was really kind of funny because the doctors want to see, do you have any restriction joint wise? Is there anything that when you get to basic training and you are under this kind of physical stress and pressure, is there anything that can cause an issue later? Because now you are a liability to the Army, and they don't want liabilities. They want to make sure you are strong and healthy and mobile and all those things. Mm. So, they check everything, literally everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. And then right after that, they're like, okay, all your stuff checks out. You're good to go. Mm. And then, so they took me over to swear in, and I was all by myself with like 2 other random people. There were no family members or anything. I was like, wow, I just swore into the Army and nobody saw.
Wow.
It was kind of sad.
Huh.
I know.
Why did they have it set up like that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure it's not, again, I'm positive it's not normal.
Okay.
Nothing about my career has been really normal.
Okay. Well, that's fine. I mean, more kudos to you, right? So I'm curious, like, is there an explanation to this innate pulling that you had towards this career? Because literally what you're saying is, oh, I just showed up and said, I'm joining. And he's like, what do you mean? And you're like, no, just call this guy. I'm in. Do you know what I mean? There has to be something there because that's not normal.
I know. Okay. So I was told.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had already made up my mind that this was going to be the best career path for me because I didn't know what my career was going to be. I knew I wanted to go to graduate school. I knew I wanted to major in flute performance. I had no idea what kind of jobs would wait for me. And I knew I had to find a way to take care of myself. And so this presented itself as an opportunity. I was like, I'm young and fit and strong and healthy. I can play my flute for my country. And I've always been a patriot. Like my family, we're all patriots. It's just kind of in our raisin, as they would say in the South. I have a family history of it. My grandfather was a colonel in the Army National Guard. He swore in my uncle, who was a Cav Scout in the National Guard. I mean, so it kind of runs in the family of like, it's kind of funny that I'm the female who joined, but whatever. It's just, I thought, I've got to take care of myself. It's a part-time thing, so I can decide if I really like it, I can stay. If not, I don't have to. But this is one way during the next few years when I have no idea what I'm going to be doing, I at least have a steady paycheck of that 1 weekend a month. And then 2 weeks in the summer, I'm going to travel and all these things. And this is the best opportunity for me right now. So I just, all those things together went, no, this is what I need to do to take care of me.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I love how you mentioned the military background in your family.
Yeah.
I think something speaks to that very strongly. Just even like, seeing my family, my dad wanted to be a math teacher. My mom wanted to be an English teacher. Neither finished college, but that education, academia realm was just in my home. And so naturally it was like, oh, I want to be a teacher when I grow up, And so I think that's good to have that background.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was never pushed. It was never emphasized. It's just always part of what kind of went on in that side of my family.
Oh, cool. So it almost became like this organic, natural plug-in for you.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it just kind of made sense. I'm like, well, I can do this. I started watching. I remember like when I was in my senior year, and I'm really contemplating this, they had a series on people going through basic training and what it looked like. And I saw these videos and I went, I can do that. I can do this. I'll be so in shape. I'll be super fit. This is going to be cool. I can do this. And I was like, well, because, when you go to basic, your first thought is, well, I can either hate this and this is going to suck and I'll be miserable, or I can look forward to this and this is going to be a sucky adventure, but I can have fun with this. So I chose the latter. It's kind of the same thing.
There you go.
That is literally what I thought when the plane landed in St. Louis. I thought, oh my gosh, here we go. Well, I can either dread this or I can look forward to it.
Perfect.
How many other people get to do this?
Yeah, very true.
I have stories that no one else has, or that not everybody has. And boy, do I. Basic was fun.
Oh, yeah? Let's talk more about that.
Well, basic was sort of fun. I mean, throwing a live grenade was awesome, except it didn't explode as much as I thought. I thought there was going to be like the movies, the big earth-shattering kaboom. It did not happen. The little dust pile went,
oh,
so disappointing.
That's kind of a bummer.
I know. I mean, I've been like, dude, I get to throw. And I was like, we're all standing in line and they've taught us all day. And I've got this live grenade in my hand. And I pulled the pin. I was like, oh my gosh, I have a grenade in my hand. Stuff like that. The very first time I got to shoot a rifle was terrifying. And then I was like, oh, this is awesome. It was so much fun. There were some really sucky parts about it. There were some not fun things. There was a lot of stress. There was a lot of push-ups, but you got over it. A lot of pain, which sounds funny, but I mean, you're just sore, You're making your body strong. And by the end of 9 weeks, I had dropped like 3% body fat. I think I gained 6 pounds. So the drill sergeant's like, my name then was Combs. Combs, you're too fat. You got to lose weight. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh.
I did exactly what you guys said to do.
Yeah. Well,
I put on 6 pounds of muscle, honestly.
I was going to say, is it muscle?
Yeah, it was, because my body fat dropped.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, okay, whatever. I'm going home either way, So basic training, it's not 8.5 weeks. When I went, it's 9 weeks. I think now it might be 10 weeks. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But you're basically learning how to be a soldier and everything that goes with it.
Okay.
You're learning all the basics. You're learning how to wear the uniform. You're learning proper common courtesies, how to address people, what ranks are, the military history. You're learning how to march, how to shoot, how to be fit. Just like the whole Army ethos, Mm-hmm. And back when I went, we even had bayonet training, which I took fencing in college. So I thought, oh, this is just like fencing. It was awesome. And it was so fun.
Oh, cool.
They don't do that anymore. They're afraid people stab each other. Go figure. That, they do make you go through the gas chamber, which that sucked. But it was over very quickly. And you think you're going to die. Everything on your insides are on fire. Like you feel like you got snot rockets coming out and you're crying and everything burns. And then, 5 seconds after you get out, or a minute, whatever, after you get out of the chamber, you're like, oh, that's not so bad. And then you just sit and watch everybody else come flailing out crying. It's hilarious. So, and then we did all these different kind of team building things, because you have to learn. The Army is all about team. You don't do anything on your own. You don't act alone. You don't. So you have to always have a buddy. We always had a battle buddy. They called it. That person that was my bunkmate. And she and I went everywhere together. If you had to have a battle buddy, you had to get somebody, but it's usually that person. So, and you just watched out for each other. You took care of each other. You made sure that everybody was good. And, and the Army's all about building that. They're all about strong families. They're all about close ties with your comrades, because if you get in a war situation, you want to know that you can trust the people who've got your back. Who've got
Yeah.
You want to know that you guys are all in this together. So, you do a lot of team building, and it was hard because there were some real dumb people in my company. But, I was one of the older ones. A lot of these kids are 17, 18. I'm like old at 23.
Okay.
So, yeah. We did obstacle courses, which were amazing. They were sucked in the beginning because everybody was bad at it. By the end, you're like, oh my gosh, I could do this now. I was the one who got to shoot the machine gun over my comrades' heads at the very last training exercise.
Oh, cool.
Who gets to say that?
That's awesome.
It really kind of was. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of pride and confidence just booming from you. And I can see how that would translate beautifully into your flute playing.
Yeah.
More of a concert, setting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just love those little gold nuggets and making those connections, because it's a thrill for me.
It was a lot of fun, and it was a lot of suck. There's a lot of both that go with it.
Yeah.
But it depends on your mindset at the end of it. And honestly, at the very end, I realized, oh my gosh, this was all a big mind game. It dawned on me as the drill sergeant gave me a coin and looked me in the eye and said, congratulations. I was like, wait a minute. But don't ask me why then, but I just realized that all the, the way that they talked to us and all the stuff that they made us do was a mind game.
Okay.
Which was a necessary mind game.
Yeah. That's
how they get you to do what you need to do and learn the things you need to learn.
Yeah, just mind over matter.
Yeah. I got to the end of they made us take an exit survey, and they said, what's one thing you learned? And I wrote down that I am capable of way more than I ever thought I was.
That's amazing.
And that has just permeated the rest of my life. You are always way more capable than what you think you are.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's amazing. And you can apply that to your business skills, you being a teacher, you being an entrepreneur. Come on, you're an author. Congratulations on your book, by the way.
Thank you so much.
But you know what I mean? You are more capable than you give yourself credit for. And once you've gone through the sucky and you've gone through the bad, you come out on the other end a more refined person.
This is very true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then after boot camp, or you've been saying basic training.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's AIT. Can you talk about that? What's that acronym?
Well, it's called Advanced Individual Training.
Okay.
And basically what that means is after basic, Basic is basic. They teach you the basics, literally. AIT is where you go learn your MOS skill. MOS is, don't ask me what that means. It basically means your job.
Okay.
So again, I did not have a normal experience. I did not do AIT necessarily. I did something called OJT. Yay, with the acronyms. It's on the job training is what that means. And I was one of the last cycles to qualify for that, which means that in my civilian job, I basically had most of the skills I needed to perform as an Army musician, which is a 42 Romeo. Basically, if you're going into the Army and you don't have a skill set, say you want to be a truck driver, which is an 88 mic, or a medical guy. Don't ask me exactly what that is. That's a 92 Yankee whiskey. My bad. Okay. 92 whiskey. I don't know. Anyway, you go to all these schools and you learn those skills. But since I was part of this last OJT, what that meant is that I went to the Army band on post, which was the 399th at Fort Leonard Wood. And I sat in with them for a few weeks and they taught me the things I didn't know, like how to play a ceremony, how to march in a military band, stuff like that. And then they sent me home. I think I was there for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, not long at all. But now if you join, you have to go to the Army School of Music in Virginia. And it's several months long, I think. I think you can clap out, so to speak, of certain things, but I'm not 100% sure because, like I said, that was after me. But you're still doing the same thing. I think just now it's way more intense.
No, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, I've just been in for a really long time, so I've seen a lot of changes.
Oh, sure. And it's been a total of 17 years. Is that correct?
Yeah, 17 years in March.
Okay. Yeah, so I would expect there to be a lot of changes.
Quite a few. I think I'm now on my 3rd set of camos.
Okay.
Yeah. We had BDUs is what they call battle dress uniform. And then we went to ACUs, which is the active combat uniform. And now we're in OCPs, which is operational camouflage pattern. I mean, I don't even know what it means. I'm guessing.
Wow.
That's what you call your camo, This is like the 3rd bunch of uniforms. Who knows? Maybe they'll change it again by the time I get out.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So aside from this crazy quarantine that we're living in, what does your typical schedule look like playing in the U.S. Army Band as a part-time flutist?
Right. So I do my regular self-employed job, which is whatever I want, so to speak, most of the time. But in the Guard, we would call it drill weekend, but in the reserves, we call it battle assembly. So you go basically, that's your 1 weekend a month. And you report at 8 a.m. Sometimes you have a formation, sometimes not. The first sergeant lays out the day. The commander says any remarks he has. And then you do whatever was on the schedule for that day. Sometimes you have marching band rehearsal. Sometimes you have concert band rehearsal. If you're in an MPT, which is a music performance team, aka a chamber ensemble, you go rehearse that. If you don't have any of those, there's always some kind of paperwork to do. So whether I'm not even going to get into it. There's always a ton of stuff. So you break for lunch, you come back, repeat. And it's basically 2 days of that. So you're either doing briefings, like we're always having sexual harassment briefings or suicide awareness or resiliency training or all kinds of different things that the Army, regardless of what our job is, that we have to fulfill these throughout the year, we have certain trainings that we still have to get done because we're still in the Army.
Okay.
And then when we're not doing those, which is a good part of the time, you could be working on, if you've been to ALCs, I know so many acronyms now that I'm saying them. If you've been to E6 school, basically, which is where you go to be a staff sergeant, they teach you how to lead the band. And the thing you have is called the mace. You can go outside and you can practice the mace. You can practice leading marching band. You really have it in your own pocket to do what you need to do to make sure you are a solid military musician. So if you need to practice, you practice. If you want to play duets with somebody or teach somebody a lesson or vice versa, you can do that because you're always learning from someone else. But you can also, like I said, doing those different chamber ensemble rehearsals, concert band, anything. It really just kind of depends on the weekend. Now, that's a home station weekend. If you have a gig, it's completely different. Could be, okay, show up at so-and-so, get on the bus at 10, and we go play the gig. Or we have certain people. This new reserve unit is a little different than the Guard. The Guard would be, okay, show up get on the bus, we're going to play a gig. And it could be all kinds of stuff. With the reserves, a lot of those are drill weekends, battle assembly weekends, are more rehearsal weekends. And then the gigs are all the extra stuff. Not always, definitely not always, but we have a ton of extra things. And you get paid for all of them. So, I mean, like we go to Talladega and play the national anthem for NASCAR. Okay, that was extra. We went to play at Mardi Gras. Yeah. That was extra. I mean,
wow.
So, yeah. So, I mean, we had to practice our marching for that. We had to practice the songs, make sure we had them memorized, all that kind of stuff. Okay. So it really just kind of depends. But that's by and large part of it. You're there from like 8 to 4, basically.
It sounds like a lot of flexibility, though.
Lots.
Yeah.
You've got somewhat of a rigid schedule, but you've got lots of flexibility within that schedule, just depending.
So you're talking about Mardi Gras and these other experiences. I'm curious. So throughout your musical career as a U.S. Army flutist, what have been your top 3 most memorable experiences?
So Mardi Gras has to take the cake. I have never been to Mardi Gras, and I got paid by the U.S. government to play at Mardi Gras. It was awesome. I've never seen anything like it. Like, at the end of it, I don't think I could walk. I was so sore. But, I mean, it was a 5.5-mile parade. It took forever. But I have never seen such madness and chaos and wonderful family things going on. I mean, like, there were police officers handing beads to babies. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It was crazy. It was so much fun. So that's got to be number 1. Number 2, all of these experiences have been in the last year with this new unit. My last unit, because it was National Guard, we didn't travel outside the state very much. I did once or twice, but they weren't very interesting. So this new unit is pretty great. We went to, for our annual training, which is 2 weeks in the summer, we went to Washington State for 2 weeks, which was amazing. This year we're slated to go to Alaska.
Oh, wow.
I know. I get to go play my flute in Alaska. How cool is that?
Oh, my gosh. I'm so jealous.
I can't. Well, fingers crossed they lift the travel ban.
Right.
So, yeah. The third one would probably be... Talladega was a totally different experience. Okay, so I played on the halftime a couple different times at a Tennessee Titans game. And that really compares with... Actually, I think that wins out over Talladega. I'm sorry. I've done that a couple times with my Guard unit, and playing for 60,000 people, and being on TV and seeing the flyover and that'll make you want to cry just a little bit. That's pretty cool.
Very sentimental.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just like your heart swells with pride, like America, all the patriotism, It's just, yeah. I mean, that little part of me bubbles up every time I see something like that. And the flyover, you get all the jets or the helicopters or whatever, and the ground shakes. You just, it's just so cool.
Yeah. No, that's really neat.
Yeah.
So for anyone who is interested in pursuing this career path, what advice would you give him or her?
Number 1, ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to get a lot of different opinions. Poll people in different groups. So talk to somebody who's in the Guard, talk to someone who's in the reserves, talk to active duty people, talk to retired people, get a lot of different perspectives. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Nothing should be really off limits, because you don't know what you don't know until you ask. And most people in the military are more than happy to talk about their lives and their situations. Now, don't go asking anything like, have you ever killed someone? Yeah, don't go there.
No.
But, don't ask them about deployments necessarily in that vein. But, I mean, it's safe to ask about, what do you do on deployment as a military musician? Would I be deployed? Ask those questions. And then if you've decided to do it, something that would really help you is to make sure that fitness is a part of your daily routine or your weekly routine. It's part of who you are already, because it's going to be when you get to basic. And if you're already a little bit prepared, your life's going to be a lot easier. So, yeah, those are the things that, beyond that, being mentally prepared. And it's just basic training. That's where you have to be mostly mentally prepared, unless, you get deployed, and that's a whole different situation. But I mean, as a reservist, you don't really have that mental challenge on a day-to-day basis because, you're not active duty in uniform 8 to 4 every single day kind of thing. But yeah, that's it. I would mostly ask a lot of questions.
No, I love that. And that's what Allison Woolham said, was to be physically active. She said, you have to get ready for that because it will hit you like a brick if you are not ready.
Yeah. And what's funny is you think you're ready. You're not ready.
Okay.
We had like one guy who was ready. Yeah. And he was like, this is not the man. Shut up. Because if he says it's nothing, you all suffer.
Okay. Yeah. Allison had some really outrageous stories about women in her basic training experience.
Oh, yeah?
And she said, oh my gosh, some of them were not the brightest light bulb in the box. Oh. And she said she remembered like 2, 3 in the morning, the sergeants, ripping everyone out of bed because she had flip-flops on and her feet up on a desk and everyone paid for it.
Everybody paid for it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We had some really stupid stuff go on, and we had a couple people who were just lazy and didn't have good attitudes. Yeah. So, I mean, I think somebody actually hid food in the ceiling tiles and they got busted.
No.
It wasn't my platoon. Okay. It was somebody else's. So we heard about it, but we're like, oh man. And our drill sergeant, we had a female drill sergeant who's like, privates, you're just going to be hungry. I'm sorry. That's how it is. You're just going to be hungry sometimes. Eat all you can, and then sometimes you're going to be hungry. But that's just how it is. Oh, my. She was right.
Okay.
I mean, when you first get there, you think they're trying to kill you by stuffing you with so much food. And by the time it ends, you're like, my gosh, I can't get enough to eat.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're burning so many calories.
So many.
Yeah.
So, I mean, physical stuff. Just from 4:30 in the morning until 9 p.m. You're just going.
Wow.
So it's a bit of an adjustment. But, my papa said something. He was in Germany in World War II. So he did a little bit of a stint in the Army as well. And I said, hey, papa, I'm going to basic training in a few weeks. Do you have any advice for me? And he said, don't volunteer for nothing.
There you go. Okay,
but the reason is when you get there, they teach you better be the first person to volunteer. Because if you're not, and we have to ask, you're all paying for it. So you kind of learn, though, there's a reason behind all this. It's not just they're being mean or whatever. They're also preparing you. They don't know where you're going to go. You might go. I joined right after 9/11. A lot of people went straight to war. It was kind of a thing. So, but the whole thing is like you want to be a volunteer. That is what soldiers do. We help people. You need to put yourself last to put others first. And it was kind of teaching that. However, how they taught you is there was one day in particular, we were all getting smoked out on the hot asphalt. We're doing push-ups. And I was like, I don't want to do this. And who are any volunteers? And I went, I'll do it. And then my papa's words are ringing in my head. I shouldn't have. Because a lot of times you're getting out of physical pain for the moment, but then the thing they make you go do is way worse.
Okay.
Thankfully, it was just going to get some PT mats. It wasn't a big thing, but he's like, yeah, I saw some guy pushing a wheelbarrow. I'm glad I didn't volunteer. That's literally what he said.
Wow.
I know. But, yeah.
I love it. Oh, with the Southern accent and everything. I can just totally see his character.
He's kind of gruff. But,
so, if you're ready, let's go on to picks. Do you have a pick for the listener today?
I love sushi.
Ooh, yum.
I'm just going to put it out there. I heart sushi in the biggest way. I mean, it's really an obsession.
Okay.
And I don't mean just the rice and the fish. I mean just the fish even.
Yeah.
Oh, if there's something wonderful about eating raw salmon, but don't send me to the grocery store and have me eat it. Absolutely not. But if somebody with a bandana who looks like he knows what he's doing with a big old chef's knife cuts it and serves it to me, I'm eating it.
Well, girl, you and I are on the same page because my biggest obsession in this world is sushi.
Oh my gosh. What's your favorite roll?
It has to be the smoked salmon.
Ooh, with cream cheese.
Yeah, it has to be. So there's really no roll that I will turn down unless there's fish eggs on it.
The roe?
Yeah, I can't do the roe. And it's more like a texture thing. Just like these little eggs in your mouth. I can't do that.
Yeah, and they don't have any flavor. So
true.
No.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yum.
I feel you.
Well, we're going from fish, which is sushi, to bees. My pick is that was a good segue, right? Yeah, my pick is honey. I put raw, unfiltered honey in my green tea every morning, and so that's my pick for today.
Yum.
And probably like a little squirt of lemon too. You can't go wrong with that.
No.
Yeah.
No. I tell you what, that sounds like a hot toddy right there is what that sounds like.
Yeah.
Well, it's the whiskey. But you can make it with hot water, tea, lemon, honey, same kind of thing.
Yeah, virgin.
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. There's nothing better for a sore throat and kick a cold in the nose. Seriously. Knock it out.
Oh, perfect. Cool. Well, do you have anything last you want to say before we wrap up this awesome interview?
I will say that joining the Army, joining the military, and I'll say specifically the Army because the other branches just were not a good fit for my personality, and they all have their different personalities. Joining the Army band was definitely one of the best decisions of my entire life, probably top 3 decisions I've ever made. I don't regret it for 1 second. I always look forward to our battle assemblies, to our gigs, our drills, our travel, all the opportunities that are afforded to me for doing this. I love it. There's some parts I don't really like the Army PT test, which is ironic because I like to be fit, but the Army has this knack for taking things that are fun and making them not fun, like shooting. I love shooting. The Army makes it not fun. So, but I will say that it's definitely something I highly recommend looking into, especially if you are in a performance degree situation or you're looking for that what do I do next? This can be a great opportunity, and it's definitely been one of my top 3 decisions ever made. I'd make it again in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah, I can hear it in your voice, and I could just tell you're so stoked about your career, and I'm so excited that you found something that's a good fit for you.
Thank you. Me too.
It's a good feeling, right?
It is. And not everybody's blessed to know right away what they want to do in life. And that's okay. But sometimes you just find that right fit at the right time. And it might take a minute to settle in, but then you're like, you ever that feeling like, yeah, this is right. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is good. I'm supposed to be here. Yeah. I always get that with this group. I know it's expected of me. I know how I can best perform. I can best contribute, and I get to perform. Oh my goodness, it's great.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, Angela, thank you so much for your time, talents, and energy. And I cannot believe the amount of time you have given me and the audience. And we are so thankful for your contribution to this topic.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking me. And I'm sorry I rambled on for quite a bit, but I hope you guys have enjoyed some of my stories.
Oh, no, not at all. There was no rambling. It was all really great content. And I know the listeners are going to pull out a lot of great gold nuggets.
I certainly hope so. It's been a fun time. Thank you for asking me.
Oh, sure. Have a great weekend. Today's sponsor is brought to you by J&K Productions. Did you know that not only are they a production company for podcasts, but they are a recording company for musicians? Any musical recording needs that you may have, J&K Productions can fulfill that need. They have all the necessary equipment and expertise to record your next flute recording for college or graduate auditions, competitions, summer festivals, or a flute album. J&K Productions can record any setup imaginable, from solo flute, small chamber, flute and piano, and much more. Consider J&K Productions for your next recording project. Contact them at jkproductions.media. Thank you for listening to the Flute 360 podcast. For more information, please visit HeidiKBegay.com. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please rate and review in the iTunes store. Let's talk about flute.